Hi, this is Chris, chap in the cap Motolegends. Today we're going to talk about how to buy a pair of protective motorcycle jeans. But before I proceed, I just want to put jeans into a bit of a context. Back in the 1950s and 1960s, all the cool kids wore normal jeans. They would have had a pair of Levi's or Wranglers because, well, back then they were really the only kinds of jeans. There were two types of jeans. You either had a Levi or a Wrangler. That, of course, was in the days before anyone had ever thought of protection. But the likes of James Dean, Marlon Brando, Steve McQueen, whenever you see pictures of them on their bikes, they would have been wearing a normal pair of jeans. And back here in the UK, the Ace Cafe boys would not have thought of wearing anything else. In the 90s, actually in the 80s, superbikes came along. And suddenly we all wanted to look like Barry Sheen, Agostini, McDoohan. The one-piece leather suit became very much de rigueur for bikers. And with that one-piece suit, we would have a matching helmet, matching gloves, matching boot. In the 90s, some bright spark, in fact a guy in the States, thought, why don't we line a pair of jeans with this new material called Kevlar that was used in bulletproof vests? And the idea kind of worked. It did give a degree of protection, an added degree of protection to a standard pair of jeans. Back in the day, of course, we thought they looked incredibly cool. I had a pair, I thought I was really fly. Looking back, those jeans were hideous. They were wider than a pair of Bay City roller trousers. They were hot, they were heavy, they were just awful. But they were more comfortable than leather, if only just. Because they were hot because you've got the lining, and they were heavy because you had a Kevlar lining that was about ½ an inch thick. Jeans have come a long way since then, and these days we are spoilt for choice. However, it's a bit of a minefield for the uninitiated because there are different ways of making these jeans, lots of different constructions, and there are different protective levels. So today, what we've put together is a guide as to what to look for in a pair of protective jeans, and importantly, how to make sure you get the fit just right. Before we really get into it, I feel I've got to tackle the elephant in the room, and that elephant is leather, or rather leather pants. It takes time to change perceptions, and the guys who grew up around sports bikes often find it difficult to get their heads around jeans, because back in the day, jeans were always scoffed at. Leather was obviously protective. The kind of jeans that other guys were wearing weren't protective at all, and those riders find it hard to accept that these days jeans can actually be more protective than leather. And when we come across people who are of that persuasion, we try to explain it as simply as we can. Cows have not evolved much. Today, a cow is pretty much the same animal as a cow 500 years ago. Back then, we were riding around in carts pulled by horses. But now, we have missions that go to Mars, we fly in aircraft that fly at supersonic speeds, we can build bridges that span basins a mile wide. Ships out there are displacing more than 250,000 tons. Is it not conceivable, therefore, we put to them, that man can have created something, a material that is stronger than the arse of a cow? And the answer is, of course, we have done. But these guys will then come back and say, but MotoGP riders wear leather, so therefore it's got to be the strongest. And that's not quite the case. No one's denying that leather is abrasion resistant, but there are two other key reasons why racers wear leather. The first is it slides better. So if you come off at speed on a circuit, what you want is to slide very smoothly. You don't want to roll, because when you roll, you break bones and so on. You want to slide smoothly. And there's no doubt that leather does that better than textiles. On the road, it's not such an issue because we don't tend to slide far. You tend to hit things, curbs, trees, fences, and so on. The other reason that MotoGP riders or racers will want to be in leather is because you can wear leather incredibly tightly. It doesn't flap in the wind. So if you've seen someone like Valentino Rossi put his suit on, it can take 2 or 3 minutes to get the suit on. It fits like a second skin. And what that means is when they're tucked down on the bike doing 200 miles an hour down the main straight, the material is not flapping around, it's not slowing them down. So that's the other reason that MotoGP riders or racers prefer leather. However, that's a brief digression. I've got to say we love leather. Leather has an important role to play in any motorcyclist's wardrobe, even if at times it's just looking fantastic. But the bottom line is that some jeans are these days more protective than leather. Not all of them, some aren't, but some are. So when it comes to motorcycle genes, protective genes, there are basically two forms of construction. There's what we know as single layer, and there are line genes. And I want to talk first about line genes. And line genes are in essence an outer denim, a normal denim, a shop denim, and that's lined to some degree with Kevlar or some other aramid fibre. That's the kind of gene that is generally known as a Kevlar gene. And as we've discussed, they've been around for some 30 years. Back in the day, we thought they looked really cool, as I mentioned, but they were not really very nice. They were very hot to wear. Jeans, line jeans are much, much better now. They look like a pair of Levi's. And you can turn up in a pair of fully lined jeans that look just like a regular jean. But the problem is they are still going to be very warm and rather uncomfortable to wear, particularly in hot weather. And there is, in essence, a conflict in line jeans. And the conflict is between the amount of protection you get and the amount of comfort you receive. The more coverage of the more coverage of Kevlar you have, the greater degree of lining, the less comfortable the jean is going to be, because it's going to be heavier and it's going to be more padded, so it's going to stop the flow of air. The more comfortable the jean, the less protection you're going to have, and it's going to be more comfortable because you've only got a small amount of Kevlar. They're going to be really nice to wear. So if we look at a jean like this is a 100% lined jean. So you can see inside this mesh lining, all the yellow stuff, that is Kevlar. You have that down the front, you have it down the back of the jean. And these jeans are going to be, it has to be acknowledged, pretty protective. But they are just not going to be nice to wear, particularly when it's warm. This, on the other hand, is a much more comfortable jean to wear. This is a jean that's only got partial coverage. A little bit here in the bum, there'll be a little bit behind the knees in the front of the jean. But the problem with these jeans is that people buy these jeans thinking that they are buying a protective jean. And in essence, you're not. You're not buying a properly protective jean. You're buying a little bit of protection in the bum, but this is just like a standard shop denim. And what's annoying is people have gone out. These jeans are quite inexpensive. People think they've found themselves a bargain, but actually they're just buying less protection, and they don't always realise that. Our view is that we want to wear a jean particularly in the summer. So some people put forward the argument that Kevlar jeans are great in the winter because they're padded and they're going to be warmer. Well, I understand that, and it's not untrue. But in the winter, you're going to want to wear something normally, particularly in the UK, you're going to be wanting to wear something with a waterproof membrane. We don't normally wear jeans in the winter. When we want to wear jeans is when the weather is nice. So we go out on the bike and we want to be comfortable on the bike. We want the air to flow. So the form of construction in terms of jeans that achieves that objective far more readily is a single layer jean, and that's what we're now going to go on and discuss. In single layer jeans, a strong fibre is woven in with the cotton or the denim to create a single layer of material. That fibre is normally something super strong, often much stronger than Kevlar. There are Kevlar single layer jeans, but they tend to be quite thick and heavy. Normally, you're using something much stronger. Now, there are different kinds of single-layer jeans, different forms of construction. Some single-layer jeans are more protected than others. Some are more expensive than others. The question comes up, are they as strong as line jeans? And the answer, I'm afraid, is there is no simple answer. Like line jeans, you've got higher degrees of protection and lower degrees of protection. The difference, however, with a single layer jean is that whatever the level of protection is, you get that the whole way throughout the jean. And as we saw, that's not the case with a Kevlar jean, where at times you can get 80% of the area of the jean is just pure denim. Now, on the internet, there's an article from a company called Hood Jeans. They only make Kevlar jeans. They make a couple of pairs of Kevlar jeans. And in their article, they claim that single layer jeans are less protective. And I suppose you might expect a company that only produces line jeans to take that position. But the article, in our view, is a mix of half-truths, technical mumbo-jumbo, confusion, and at times just blatant fabrication. Their aim is to disparage single-layer jeans. And what they would aim to do is to do what Kinkenute couldn't and turn the tide. The truth is that both with line jeans and single-layer jeans, there are different levels of protection. So if we look at EN 17092, the CE safety regulations, we can see that, for example, Hood jeans, their best jean rates AA. That's a perfectly respectable achievement. But there are many single-layer jeans on the market that rate AAA. Not that we want to rely solely on the CE regulations when it comes to jeans, because there are jeans out there that, for whatever reason, have a slide time that way exceeds their EN 17092 rating, but we can discuss that later. The fact is that you can determine the level of protection you want, often in terms of a single layer gene, by the amount you pay. The more you pay, the slightly more protection you're going to get. But for us, the benefit of single layer genes is not per se the amount of protection. It's about how much nicer they are to wear than line genes, because they are light and easy to wear. They wear like a regular jean, like a pair of shop jeans. They are so much nicer to wear in hot weather because the air is going to pass through them, because the air doesn't have to pass through this thick Kevlar lining. So whatever the strength of the gene, be it a lower level single layer gene or a top end single layer gene, they're always going to be more comfortable to wear than a Kevlar gene, because the air, as I've said, will just pass through them. And in our view, therefore, single layer is the future. Now, we talk to all of the motorcycle clothing manufacturers, and what we know is that right now there are lots of developments in single layer jeans. There's a lot of work going on to improve the fabrics to make them stronger and thinner and lighter and so on. There's almost none. There's nothing going on in Kevlar jeans, and in our view it's very simple. Single layer is the way to go. So let's talk now a little bit more about single layer jeans. As you would expect, as I've already alluded to, they come in different shapes and sizes, different forms of construction, different strengths. At the lower end of the market, you will weave the denim or the cotton with a material like Cordura. And you'll have heard of Cordura. It's a very common constituent of textile jackets. It's going to create a jean that is way stronger than a street jean. And the jean that we have in mind, or I have in mind here, and it's a very popular jean here at Motolegends, is a jean called the Spiddy J Tracker. Costs about £150. So it's at the lower end of the market. It creates a jean that rates, technically it rates at the A level under EN 17092, but we know that the fabric rates AA, and we know that because Spiddy are actually now putting hip armour in exactly the same jean, and that allows them to call it a AA jean. So this is technically a AA jean, but we had a slide time conducted on these jeans some time ago, and they came in at just 2.1 seconds. So even though AA is impressive, because let's face it, that's the same level that you're going to get on, say, a rucker trouser, the slide time that came through, 2.1 seconds, we weren't massively impressed with, and it leads us to believe that this is a jean that we would only sell to someone who's very, very rarely riding above 60, 70 miles an hour. So this is a jean for someone who has a Harley Davidson, who's got a Bonneville, they go out at weekends, they potter about the hills. It's not a jean that you would wear if you were commuting, if you were going touring, if you were riding a high-speed bike and you rode fast. They are, as a jean, inexpensive, but they are probably one of the nicest jeans to wear. Some jeans are made with Kevlar. So here I'm talking about Kevlar being the material that's woven in with the denim. But Kevlar doesn't tend to be strong enough to make for a really strong jean. So when you get a Kevlar jean or a single layer jean made with Kevlar, they have to be pretty thick. And we do a jean here from Hal Varsens, it's called the McCann jean. It's actually a AAA rated jean, but it is so thick and heavy that there are almost few benefits over a line jean. The air's not going to pass through it because the jean is so thick. Now, the best jeans on the market are made with a fibre known as a UHM WPE. I'm not a scientist, so it doesn't mean a lot to me, but it's an ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene. All I know about it is that technically this material is 15 times stronger than carbon steel. And let's face it, carbon steel sounds as though it should be pretty strong. Yet, when you take these fibres, they will float on water. So it's a material that's both incredibly strong and incredibly light. Already on the market, there are quite a few brands that are using a UHM WPE in their jeans. Spiddy, in addition to their J Tracker, they have a jean called the Spiddy JN Dyneema or the J Dyneema. Dyneema is a UHM WPE. That's a very nice jean. PMJ, the Italian brand, also has a jean that uses a UHM WPE. Belstaff have a couple of jeans, but our personal favourites, if you know us here at Motolegends, our favourite jeans here are the Roker jeans from the Swiss brand, or jeans from the Swiss brand Roker. Those jeans come in many different styles and configurations. There are all kinds of washes. There are raw washes, there are light washes, there are vintage washes, there are straight legs, there are super slim fits, there are tapered slim fits, and so on. Right now, the jean, and we're recording this in June 2021, the jean that we prefer here at Motolegends to any other on the market is called the tapered slim. It's actually not that slim. In fact, it's quite wide above the knee, but it does taper a little bit from the knee down to the ankle. Now, as a jean, in terms of its protective qualities, it's got a slide time of 5.1 seconds, and that is impressive. Leather, it's widely acknowledged, comes in at about 4 seconds. So on one level, these jeans are 20% stronger and more protective and more abrasion resistant than leather. And that's more than anyone is ever going to need. I don't care what bike you ride, how fast you ride, you're never going to wear through leather. You're not going to wear through these jeans. The trick of this particular jean, however, I think, is the fact that the UHMWPE, which is woven in one direction, it's wrapped in cotton. In the other direction, the UHMWP is wrapped in elastane, so it creates a jean with a lot of stretch in it. So even though below the knee it does taper a little, even if you've got big thighs, or sorry, big calves, it is incredibly comfortable to wear. The jeans come with a zip fly. A lot of jeans out there come with button flies, and we know that a lot of our customers in particular don't like button flies. You've got an adjustable armour pocket that gives you about 2 inches of movement. The armour that those jeans come with is the very latest, nicest D3O Ghost armour. So once you've got a lightweight jean and you've got this armour in it, you really don't know that you're wearing a protective jean. These jeans are not the cheapest, but in our view, they are the best. What I want to do now, I want to go on and talk about how to make a jean fit properly, or how to make sure that your jean fits properly, because there's no point going out and getting the best jean to find that it's not going to be doing the job that you expect it to do. So when we're talking about buying a pair of protective motorcycle jeans, the last part of the equation, as it were, is getting the right jean for you, a jean that works for you, that fits properly, fits the way it should. In some ways, as we've discussed, partly that is dictated by the kind of bike you ride, by the kind of riding you do. So if you're someone who pods around on a Sunday, that Spitty jean, the J-Tracker, would be perfect for you. If you ride a little bit faster, you're going to want something like the PMJ, the Belstaff, or the Roker. A number of things to do with the fit. First thing, we don't want a jean that fits too tightly. Problem here is many of us are preconditioned to believe that we still have the 32-inch waist that we had at school, and for many of us that isn't the case. Problem is, if you've been used to buying a street jean that's too tight, that doesn't really work on the bike, because once you're sat on the bike, you're there for a couple of hours, things tend to drop when you're sat on the bike. It's going to become uncomfortable. So we like a jean to be a little bit loose. Obviously, we don't want it so loose that when you get off the bike, they drop around your ankles. You may need a belt to keep them tight, but don't buy a jean that is too tight. The other thing you need to do is make sure that you sit on a bike. Now, here at Motolegends, we have a shop bike here. Part of the process of buying jeans is to sit on the bike, make sure everything works, because we all have different positions on a bike. If you've got a sports touring bike, you'll be forward, like that on a cruiser maybe, but you need to make sure that it's not digging into the waist, that it's not leaving a big gaping hole when you lean forward and so on. So you need to make sure that it works on the bike. This is not, clearly you want a jean that's going to be nice to walk around in, but its primary purpose is to protect you on the bike. So it's got to be comfortable on the bike. The next thing in our view is to make sure that you get the armour in the right place. And so many people don't. We have people who come in here who've got jeans that they bought elsewhere. Their armour's all over the show. You do not need armour halfway up the leg. It sits in, if it sits in the right place, it's sat just above the knee bone. It's just cupping the knee bone. What that's going to set up is a situation where when you get off the bike, the armour is going to drop a little. So when you're walking around on the street, the armour is going to feel a little bit low. That is the way it is, because the armour is attached to the fabric. When you sit on the bike and you lift your leg up, that's going to pull up the hem of the pant. That's going to pull the armour into the correct place, hopefully. When you get off the bike, the trouser is going to drop. That's going to mean that the armour is going to drop. It is the way it is. You're just going to have to get used to it. But if you've got modern armour, something like D3O or even better, Ghost armour, you simply won't notice it because modern armour is so thin. I do admit though, if you've got heavy, old-fashioned, clunky armour, that can be a little bit uncomfortable. What you can always do if you've got that situation is upgrade the armour for something thinner. The next thing is getting the hem of the jean in the right place. Now, the hipster brigade, and I don't want to sound rude, but guys in London who are running around town, they often like to wear their jeans halfway up their calves. And I'm told that that's so they can show off their hoop socks and their Red Wing boots. Well, fair enough, each to his own, but that's not the right way to wear a protective jean. And personally, I can't see any point in going out and spending several £100s on a protective jean just to leave a large area of skin exposed. Why buy a protective jean in the first place? On the bike, the hem of the jean should sit about the middle of the ankle bone. This again sets up a couple of things. When you get off the bike, the hem is going to drop, because I've mentioned, as you can sit on the bike, the hem is going to rise. When you get off the bike, it's going to drop. Now, if it's sat in the right place on the middle of the ankle bone on the bike, when you look down and you're on the street, as it were, there's going to be a bit of a crumple, and we call that the motorcycle crumple. It's just the way motorcycle jeans sit. The converse is that if you want a jean that sits perfectly on the street because you're fastidious and you are more bothered about the way you look on the street, when you get on the bike, it's going to be too high. That again is something that if you want that look, that's fine, but that's not, in our view, the way it should be. But to make sure we get that right, that's why we prefer working with jeans that come in different leg lengths, because we've all got different proportions, and our leg length to our waist size, there's no direct correlation. So the very best jeans will come in a 30-inch leg, a 32-inch leg, a 34-inch leg, a 36-inch leg. It's what makes buying a pair of jeans by mail order a little bit hazardous in our view. What we do here when you come to see us at Motolegends, we may go through maybe 10 pairs of jeans before we find the right pair for you in terms of fits and look and style and so on. We will then get you to sit on the bike. We'll make sure the armour's in the right place. Now, we will adjust the armour in the pocket, but if that still doesn't work, at our cost, we will unsew the armour pocket, we'll move it up or down. There is a right place for the armour to be, and it's got to be in that right place. Same with the hem. So we'll sit on the bike, we will agree with you the height that you want, but let's say that on the bike you need a 33-inch inside leg, but they only come in a 32 or 34, we will go for 34 and we'll cut the inch off. The bottom line is if you come and see us here at Motolegends, you will not leave until the jean is correct, fits properly the way it should. And of course, as this is Motolegends, we'll do that at no cost. So I hope you enjoyed our little guide to protective motorcycle jeans. If you want to see all of our jeans, you can visit the website motolegends.com, or if you click on one of the links on the screen, sometimes they're up there, sometimes down there, we've put together a collection of all of our current jeans. Once you're there, you can check out the specs in a little bit more detail, you can check out availability, and obviously if you want to buy a pair, you can buy a pair of jeans there and then. When you buy from us, we try to make the process simple, straightforward and risk-free as we possibly can. There's no delivery charge on any item of protected wear that you buy from us. Returns are totally free, and what's more, we give you a full 12 months in which to decide whether you do want to return something to us. We have the best price promise in the business. Now, John Lewis is rightly famed for its never knowingly undersold price promise. We go one stage better. If you can find anybody selling anything we sell at a price that is lower than ours, we will beat that competitor's price by a full 10%. There are a few terms and conditions, nothing particularly onerous, but if you are going to price beat us, I suggest you visit the website and check out what those terms and conditions are. If in the future you'd like to see bulletins from us about new products, then again, if you go to the website, at the top of every page there's a piece of script that says newsletter sign up. Click on there, within seconds you'll be in business. In future you'll receive our email bulletins. If however you prefer to get your information videographically, in other words in this form, then we'd be delighted if you wanted to become a subscriber to our YouTube channel, and you can do that by clicking on the button below. Now, this year is 2021. Last year, 2020, we gave away to a YouTube subscriber a Mutt 125cc motorcycle that we had customized to look a little bit like a Steve McQueen desert sled. This year, 2021, we've gone upmarket a little bit. We're giving away a 250cc Fantic Caballero Scrambler. But we're not going to be giving it away to a YouTube subscriber. We're going to give it away to someone who follows us on Facebook. So if you want to stand a chance of winning this fabulous little bike, and we will be giving it away just before Christmas, then go over to Facebook and obviously follow us. I'd like to finish with a play for our fabulous little shop here at Motolegends. We're based about a mile from the centre of Guildford, a mile from the railway station. And as I say, it's a small shop. It's got a small footprint. But it's attached to our warehouse where we've got more than £2 million worth of gear arranged over 3 floors. And technically that makes this the second largest motorcycle shop in the UK, or motorcycle apparel shop in the UK rather. But we think that we are far more than just the amount of merchandise we have here in the building. We're all about service, we're all about personal fitting. If you want to check us out, visit Trustpilot. We have the highest 5-star ranking in the business. When you come here, we'll serve you only the finest Italian illy coffee, or we'll serve you a proper Yorkshire tea in a proper teapot. And if you're lucky, you might even get to sample one of our delicious motorcycle-shaped shortbread biscuits. Anyway, this has been Chris. I hope to talk to you again soon.